Hug's reputation speaks for itself in the sense that the messages that they deliver, whether they are verbal messages or written messages, immediately have credibility.
We deliver training, mental health awareness training, to professionals. And that involves psychiatrists, social workers, nurses, as well as people like the police and people within NGOs in the voluntary sector.
We also need to be ever guided by the people who are experiencing these conditions themselves and their what they like, what they don't like, what they believe in, and take account of all of these factors in how we work with people.
It's very difficult to speak about injustices by staff at user centres.
If I'm brutally honest, initially I was a bit sceptical and possibly a bit threatened by people telling me how I should be working.
We don't just talk to the professionals, we listen to them, and we have discussions and debates, and it's very interactive, it's very dynamic and it's very interactive, and that's the bit that I think people value hugely.
The quality of the work they do to support the people who contribute to our programme is first class.
We also have professionals telling us that it's given them greater confidence to practice.
They have very significantly impacted on the way we practice in Scotland and in Highland. And I think I can honestly say they have very significantly impacted on the way I practice.
And the work that I love and I'm absolutely impassioned about is working with young people.
The anti-stigma work is going around schools talking about mental health and mental illness and what that entails and what it's like to be a young person going through that.
I think it's very important for young people to learn about mental health issues because it's just something that's not spoken about these days.
It really helped me move on as well because you're taking a really negative, horrible experience in your life, but you're getting something from it and you're turning it into almost like a piece of art.
It completely changes their attitude and perspective about what they thought somebody with a mental illness had.
It's just a part of them, and like all of us, we all have, you know, our own problems, and it's not something that determines who they are. It's just something that they have to live with, and I now see that as not half as big a deal as I used to, certainly.
I'm no different from anyone else. Sometimes I feel different, so bad inside that I starve myself. But then people notice I'm getting too thin, and that I'm crying and crying. So they slag me off, act like I don't exist. And that makes me feel worse, because it hurts more when they treat me like that. But it doesn't have to be that way. See me. I'm a person, just like you.
See Me is the national anti-stigma campaign in Scotland, and it came together around about 2001 when 5 organisations decided that we wanted to try and do something about the stigma that is attached to mental ill health in Scotland.
Certainly the Scottish Government invested and have invested and continue to invest a lot of money in this work.
We've spent about £1 million a year for the last 6 years on stigma work within Scotland.
Our long-term ambition is that we will eliminate stigma in relation to mental ill health in Scotland.
Certainly investing in stigma is a good economic investment because we know that if more people with mental health problems enter the workforce, that means that they will earn resources for themselves, they'll pay taxes, they'll probably be more healthy as well and require less treatment, in that we know that work and employment is very much a very healthy thing for many people to do. And so we see the relatively small amounts that stigma campaigns as being very, very worthwhile.
When I first had a mental health problem, I was scared.
You were scared? He calls me up in the middle of the night.
I was making no sense.
I was a bit annoyed.
He was raging.
I go round and something's like wrong.
I'd hidden it so long. I got to the doctors, got help.
You still didn't want folk to know? Didn't want to answer the door?
Only because I knew it was you.
And I just kept going round?
Aye, like a stuck record. Need anything? Want to play golf? I was scared to go out.
You're scared, you'd get beat at golf.
That's what I like about you, Johnny. You didn't change. And I get better.
For people with a mental health problem, what you do makes a difference. Be there, be yourself.
We find the user movement very helpful in Scotland for a number of reasons. They help us in the design and development of policy. They identify what the priorities are for service users and carers. And sometimes those priorities are difficult for us. They're not always easy for us. But it means that we do have to address the real issues and the real lived experience of people.
And it was a slow process. Initially, people found it very difficult to believe that there was any reason we needed a voice. But slowly we gained allies, and we had people in England who were doing the same thing, and a body of literature and evidence that showed there was a moral and ethical and also an evidence-based need for a voice.
And more especially, I think the Scottish Government want to listen to service users now, which, in my opinion, they didn't do before.
Very often we focus and we think about treatment, as though treatment is the only issue. But that wasn't the most important thing that service users told us. They said the most important thing to them was how people treated them, not the treatment that they got. And that's led us to develop something called the Scottish Recovery Indicator, which is a way that we use to assess services, to see the degree to which those services reflect the principles and expectations that service users and we have about how care is delivered. And that we think that's incredibly powerful.
Mental health work in Scotland has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. You can tell by the size of our psychiatric hospitals. They're shrinking. They're becoming, very small in comparison with the big institutions we used to have.
We've seen the closure of the long-stay large hospitals and being replaced with services either in the community or in smaller, more specialist hospitals.
Sometimes my well-being is better when I go and live with a certain person or in a certain area. So those things are important, and it's about sitting and listening to people rather than just thinking of medication.
So one of the big developments is in choice, and another massive development is in the shift to people living and working and breathing in their own communities.
HUG started about 12 years ago and is now a very developed group, but there are also other groups across Scotland. We have Acumen, we have Augment, we have Plus, we have Vox, our national voice, we have Lanarkshire Links, we have Edinburgh Users Forum, East Lothian Involvement Group. These groups are all over the country, and they're slowly beginning to grow, and there's a stronger and stronger need for these groups to exist in every region, so that between them they can work locally and feed in nationally and hopefully feed in internationally to make a change that occurs across the world, because the things that we experience in Scotland also happen in other countries, and we need to join with users in every part of the world to say that some of the injustices we go through, we can, by gaining strength together, change through having a united voice.
Because quite often the problem is people don't know it's possible. It's an education issue. And now we've educated, it's now the hard work time. Now people have to go and do that in their own back gardens, in their own countries.
Clar, veient com estava desenvolupat allí, és quelcom que teníem una mica en la ment, però com una mica difús, no? Si era possible, si era dient. I allò ens va donar una mica la mida de que allò era possible i de que allò tenia que anar cap allí.
Pero yo creo que lo más importante fue el decir, ostras, se puede hacer.
El camí que aquí sembla una utopia, una cosa molt complicada i molt difícil a altres llocs, havien aconseguit grans coses.
And this is how it happens. The word spreads. You're known with small, tiny steps to make small changes. You know that a small group of people can go and meet a small other group of people and change their minds forever. And by doing this, by meeting together, by encouraging each other, by supporting each other, by acting as a catalyst to the huge talents our members have, we give something that people want to be a part of. Not everyone wants to change the world, but some people do. And when they meet each other and they support each other, then they can help that change happen.
So if I can speak out and challenge the system, challenge attitudes, challenge professional practices, so that nobody goes through what I went through, then I will have done something great.
How do you see a person with mental health problems? What do you see there?
Faries el mateix si fos un amic teu?
How would it feel if your voice and your experience weren't respected?
Why would you not speak out? If you think that the way you live your life is unfair and unjust.
How can we understand what the impact of what we're going to do will be if we don't engage and discuss and consult with the people who are going to be receiving a service?
Creus que el que fas ajuda a la persona a tenir, a recuperar un projecte de vida? O no?